Guys, I am just so angry. I'm a good leader, but I'm so angry, but I fail all the time. But I'm a good leader, but I'm so angry, and now my powers don't work. If you don't know, that's my Halloween costume for John the Thunderbird. But we're going to be talking all about Jace the Purifiers, the Morlocks, the Clinic Thunderbird, and Andy and Rebecca. A little bit of a romance going on. Let's go!
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tehran's not enjoying the song.
I don't think
I'm gonna
there's
love you
anything,
inside
I don't think
out.
there's anything funny about their love.
Oh my, yeah,
Okay.
he was very serious about
It's
it.
so real.
You guys don't know if those two climax and their mutant powers come out. It's so
they are
sloppy.
children.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Let's not talk about the children climaxing, Tehran.
That's not a sentence that should come out of anyone's mouth. You made it worse. Can't say I didn't think about that. And let's go ahead and intro the show. Guys, we're talking about Season 2, Episode 5, After Capital M Ath. Joining me today, as always, we got the band back together, and we're all in our Halloween costumes today. We have April O'Neil.
What's up, guys? I'm Steph Sabraw.
We got Black Hugh Hefner.
I dressed up as a character from the show.
Which one?
I dressed up as my second favorite character.
Flashlight. Oh, it's Marcos. Got it. That's good.
I don't. Okay.
And
I
we
thought you were
have
going to be Rebecca since she was wearing the black ribbon.
Wendy's from Wendy's.
Hi, guys. My name is Heather Wake, and I believe in cornflakes and also Wendy's, apparently.
And I am, let's just say I'm an asshole. How about that? And we'll move forward. Let's talk about the show. We're going to be breaking it down, Jason the Purifiers, and we're moving some Morlocks awesomeness with Marcos and the Orb Girl, which I didn't catch her name, which is really bad, but we did a watch along. You guys could have checked that out and saw the show with us. We're going to talk about the clinic and how it's totally not legal to do what they did. Not a fun day for the clinic. Thunderbird, John, who is not a good leader and is not being very bright right now and is clouded by clouds of misjudgment. And our favorite character ever, Rebecca, with our favorite character, Andy.
Our favorite angsty character.
Our
Andy.
favorite angsty character, the Kurt Cobain of the Gifted series.
You guys say this, but if Andy was around in the 90s, he would have been the cooler version of the kid from Terminator 2 that also is no longer a star.
I hate that you're right.
Nicholas
that you're
Kelly
right.
in the chat says he loves Andy.
I mean,
Of course, Andy's very cool. I like Andy.
I like him a lot more now.
Oh, I thought Andy turned up the charm this episode.
Of course, Turtleneck Andy is the best. Turtleneck Andy is
Steve Jobs blowing up tennis balls Andy is like the baseball card that I want. Like,
Yes.
Exactly.
do you have the Andy card? Well, I have Andy blowing up tennis balls. That's the card.
That's the card.
That's the holographic Charizard of the Gifted card series.
We went way too nerdy for me.
We really did.
Can we rein it back in?
Let's rein it back in, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 5. Let's start off with our overall thoughts. Heather, what did you think of the episode?
Overall, I'm so excited to see what the buildup is. I feel like every episode of the season has been building up slowly but steadily. I'm just so anxious to see what Reva's plan is. So every time I get an episode where we're not totally unveiling that, I'm like, but I definitely know how everybody else is feeling with that too. I loved Erg's and Clarice's relationship getting explored more, and I loved how their dynamic ended though. And I loved that we got a little tidbit, a little backstory on Jace. It really resonated with me because it reminded me so much of the episode of Supergirl we just saw with Man of Steel. It's just going back into seeing how somebody can turn into a fearmonger. You know, we saw a little bit more. We gave a little bit more empathy to Jace. I think seeing how far he's come.
How far he's gone.
How far he's
I
gone.
love that. I love that. And I love that your mutant power is to make a short story super long. I love that the most. That was my favorite. The fear mongering.
Tehran?
Hated it. Okay. Didn't see enough Reva in this episode.
You didn't see any? Well,
No.
not at all. Yeah, really.
And I love Reva. Other than that, I thought it was a great episode. I agree full-heartedly with Heather on the different dynamics that are going on. I did really enjoy the Jace backstory. That was very interesting to perceive. And the new Jace is also the fact that I dislike him so much is a testament to how good it is.
You don't dislike him.
Who, Jace?
You loved him.
Listen, I like Jace, but I mean, I disliked what he was doing. It was actually very ruthless in a lot of ways. And even though he was the one that showed heart, I understood the implications of what's happening and the slippery slope that it's going on. And also the conniving way he said, if we attack protesters, then we're going to make them victims. So let's do this, which will come off good because we're worried about the PR that we're getting. That's so conniving, and it's so relevant to things going on in the world today.
Steph.
I love this episode. I knew it was going to stress me out, and it really stressed me out. I loved Erg's conversation with Carice, kind of putting into perspective kind of where all the sides are and that no one's really doing anything very beneficial for any of their causes. And I really am curious to see where Thunderbird is going to go with this, because he has been the leader and he was really struggling this episode, like you portrayed in our cold open.
Yeah, we'll be talking about John a bit. Another thing we're going to bring up is a little bit of who actually is Erg, because you had a good point while we were watching the episode about whether he's Erg, Bishop, or what's going on.
Well, he has a lot of similarities, so
Exactly.
complete similarities except for the future past thing.
I think there's a lot of good that came from this episode. I think it's again one of those episodes where we're building to something. I'm worried about the whole thing where, okay, every time Reva gets one part of her plan done, let's get another mutant who needs to complete another step. I'm done with dedicating an entire episode to a character getting through their emotional blocks, but unfortunately I feel like an entire episode is going to be dedicated to John getting through his emotional blocks, and that's going to be 3 episodes this season where we're dedicating to a character getting through their emotional blocks. Does that make sense to me or to you guys?
Yeah.
So I'm worried about that, so I hope they tie that in with some other stuff, or maybe they even have something really bad happen because John makes a bad mistake, because I feel like he's redeemable, but he's got to do something stupid, because he tried to do something stupid this episode, and he doesn't seem to see the relevancy of that when Kate tells him that he's dead. He's still just pissed off that he didn't go out there and F up.
You're an emotional cockblock, Stephen. I must say this.
I am the most emotional cockblock. So let's move on. Let's talk about Jace and the Purifiers, because I really liked how they mirrored the Jace of then and the Jace now, before his daughter was killed by people at a protest. That also leads to him why he's so against them attacking a protest, because that's where his daughter was killed because of the mutant blast that went off when they were there. Let's go ahead and start with the meeting. So how did you guys think this scene went from where it started to where it went, where he took control of the group?
Well, I thought it was a really good kind of juxtaposition of what's going on in real life with the Unite the Right movement, and people playing. You said it best, Tehran, like that kind of manipulation and thinking 10 steps ahead of people. I did not think Jace was going to... We thought Jace was going to become the leader of it, but I didn't think he was going to be so quick to step in and have this sure plan and be so confident in what he was going to do, and it was a really good plan.
I think it was interesting because it's a professional dealing with people who aren't professionals. So, like, he thinks that it's going to be all dandy. It's like, imagine like a professional video game player just is like, let's do it, and gathers a team of nobodies, and then everything just goes bad because nobody knows what their jobs are supposed to be.
I don't know what the video game player part of that.
Oh, it just works
analogy
for
had to do
anything.
with.
I don't know, because in my mind it was working that way.
But I could see it if you're a foreman who's a professional foreman and now you're trying to build something and you gather a group of people who have no construction knowledge whatsoever, but since you do, you think that you can just dictate to them what to do. They still don't know how to use the instruments and the tools or how to hold things in the proper way. And that's what we're seeing here with Jace. Jace is a professional who has experience in these matters, even if it was simply professionally. However, the people that are working with him do not. They are, for all intents and purposes, as Heather pointed out, fearmongers, and they are upset and angry people, and we see that come to head in the clinic.
And
with their actions.
And he's going to run into the same problems that he was running into with the Sentinel services, because he's trying to change an entire system, being only one man. He keeps going back and forth between, I think, trying to rally troops behind his one singular vision and then going rogue, and he can never find that balance.
But it starts with one man, Heather. I'm so sorry to say that the concept of a person who can change systems has been proven historically if it's the right person. And I think in this case, Jace was the right person. In the case that he stood up in the Purifier meeting and brought them all to a consensus easily through the use of humor and logic, and gave them perspective. Now, does it mean that there will be does not mean that there will not be bumps along the way? Clearly, we saw a bump in the clinic, but the fact that he organized and changed their perspective so quickly seems that Jace is the perfect person for this situation. Is this situation meant for the perfect person?
Well, I
and
guess,
that's what's the contrast
I
and
guess
conflict
that's
will
my
be.
question to you guys is, do you think it's going to go more in Jace's favor after the clinic? Or do you guys think it's going to...
So Jace is a smart guy, and he thought he thought higher of them than he should have, and now he's not going to make that same mistake again. I think now he knows that he has a force that he can use, that he can use as a distraction or use whatever he needs to. I think what he's going to probably try to do now, whether it's the next episode or use those people to force out the mutants, and then he'll have his own backup plan that he takes care of. So he's not going to be at the forefront of the Purifiers. He's going to be controlling them to do what he wants, to have them push the mutants to where he wants them. I don't think he's going to even have them involved in capturing the mutants or anything, because they'll probably just shoot him. And he doesn't want that, I assume. I don't think he just wants to kill them. I think he's trying to get answers, and he wants to put them in jail. But the real question is, where is this stemming from? As a character for Jace, what is his chase? Jace's chase. What is this stemming from inside of him? Like, what is his goal? Because if you really look at it, like, he's not in Sentinel Services anymore. He's not even a cop. What's his goal? Like, he's not going to be reinstated in Sentinel Services if he finds out they're alive. Like, he's not going to, he's not proving himself to his wife. She won't talk to him. He's not proving himself to anybody. So what is his goal? And let's figure that out and go from there.
Jace has become Captain Ahab, and this is his Moby Dick. This is his whale. This is his... He's consumed by this thought. There's nothing else on his mind.
He's a dog chasing a car and doesn't know what he was going to do with it.
He's given up his family, his wife. He's lost his child. He's lost his career. It does beg for me to think, where is he getting money from in the first place? However, as Jace goes forward, his concept is he just has to get it done. This isn't about vengeance. This isn't about justice. This is simply a mission that has become his only purpose in life. And when that obsession overtakes someone, there's nothing that can stop it. There's no longer will. This has become destiny, and he must find them.
So here's my prediction, and you guys can tell me what you think of it, because it's more of a situational prediction. I think the reason they showed us Jace as a young cop siding with the mutant in that situation because he was a young kid, I think what we're leading up to is the Purifiers finding the Morlocks and getting ready to go in there and kill them all, and then Jace going in early and being like, guys, we got to get you out of here. Either the Morlocks or the Underground. I think Jace has to realize that the Purifiers are just like the mutants who killed his daughter in terms of being dangerous, and they're going to go in and just kill all these families and things like that. I think he's got to realize, no, Marcos, no, don't use the flashlight on me. Audio listeners, Tehran has a flashlight and shot me with it. But I mean, what do you guys think of that?
I really like that.
I think this is his redemption season. He has to switch sides to be the mutant side, but he's also going to be that ace in the hole for Sentinel Services if they ever come. So he might be like a double agent or something. I don't know. I'm interested to see what you guys think the future for this character is.
The Purifier infiltrating the Ergs. Whoa,
Morlocks.
Morlocks. There we go. I think that I'm totally digging that prediction. I don't have so much faith in Jace that he's going to be able to do anything for them or try to stop. He might try to a little bit too late and face the aftermath of that.
Well, that might be his redemption, is that he sees the error in his ways, and unfortunately someone pays for that consequence. However, we did see a young Jace save a mutant's life, and then we saw compelled Jace at least feel bad for the doctor and for the nurse, and not like the actions of the Purifiers. He did go along with the wave, but simply because that was a tidal wave, and anything else would have caused him to drown, and he understood that. However, Jace was the only ounce of humanity that was within that group.
Yeah,
he was their soul.
He also, when he showed up to the door in the first season, he was the only one who stopped the cop from walking in, and he was like, "This is a family. We're not gonna like walk into their house, like talk to them like humans." So I mean, I think he has redemption. One of you guys had a prediction, or somebody in the chat had a prediction last week of what if his daughter's still alive.
That would be I.
So to play off of that a bit, and you guys can tell me what you think before we move on. If his daughter is still alive and activated the X gene to survive the blast, let's just say they assume she was incinerated in the blast, there was no body in her funeral or whatever, and what if she activated the X gene and became unrecognizable through her power to survive the blast, and she's living among the Morlocks? That is another option, that if he finds the Morlocks, that's how they could introduce that storyline.
That's
So
what I
cool.
was. That was the prediction that I gave, and people in the comments and the chats were obviously they were
Talking about her
two-sided.
being
Yeah.
burnt.
So they were like, "She's dead, she's dead," and I said, "Yes, but if there's a show that she will come back, it is this one,
Or Sleepy Hollow.
I do.
or Flash,
Or any Fox show.
or Walking Dead." I guess technically speaking,
Everyone's saying Jace will not be redeemed. Sorry, shout out the chat, but he will be. That's his whole point of this character is redemption. It's the human that is tilted so far against the mutants that he's gonna come to see the middle ground. That's the whole point of the character. You can't have a character just start out hating mutants and stay hating mutants the entire series.
I
don't
don't
know.
even think it's. I think you could be onto something. I think for Jace, it's about control and having followers. He's been for the past few years had no one really believe into his cause. So I think if he was with any group, like let's say it's the Morlocks, his daughter is there, and they believed in whatever he decide to transfer to, then he would be with that. But I do see what the chat is saying. What he did today and what he has been doing, you guys know I really hate him. So.
I disagree with you on that point. Actually, Jace has shown a propensity to not need anyone to believe him to know he's right.
But I'm saying
And that
now.
he doesn't need followers, he needs hands. So
Yeah.
what he needs is a force. He doesn't need anyone to believe him, and I do not think he exposes his ideology to the purifiers.
But
He needs
hands
an
is
army.
followers.
No, it's not. There's a huge difference. Followers means I believe in what you're preaching. He's not preaching them anything. He's teaching them ways of how to finish his mission without telling them their mission. He didn't say there's a group that I think is still alive and they're the underground and we need to find them so that I can bring them to justice because of the death of my daughter. That's not what he said. He said, we can do this for your cause, and he's manipulating that situation. He's a puppet master.
But the underground isn't who killed his daughter.
Yeah, but that's what he's looking for. He's looking for that aspect. That's his mission. He needs to, that's why they're so afraid to let him know that they're still alive, right? So the concept is Jace is chasing something and hasn't told them. So anyone that needs followers needs the people who are with them to chase the same thing. That is the component of faith. Jace needs no faith. What he needs is direction, and he's pointing them in the direction that's the best apt for him to utilize them, and that is it. He will do the rest. And that's the plan B that Stephen was speaking about, where when it comes about, he'll know what to do with it.
He needs an army right now, but he doesn't need an army in the long term. So
Exactly.
he's going to find out they're alive in some situation that prevents mutants from dying. He's going to save them in some way, shape, or form. And then he's going to find out about Reva. Because right now he's chasing down Alex or Andy and Lauren. But they don't really make any difference right now, even if he finds them. But if he finds out about the whole conspiracy with the inner circle, that's like a rabbit hole that he could dive down into and really get his like make a difference. And if he finds out the inner circle was behind 714, that would be another thing to push him further down the edge. So I think we've talked enough about Jace. I like where all of our heads are at. So we all have kind of differing thoughts. Everyone in the chat thinks that he won't be redeemed, but I'd put money on the fact that he's going to be redeemed. I feel there's no other point to the character than to have him be redeemed. Moving on to the Morlocks. Moving to the Morlocks.
Ow!
That's not an actual song. I'm
What?
pretty sure that's not.
If you Shazam it, it will turn up. So the Morlocks, they bring all these people from the mental institution to the Morlocks' home base, which, you know, when I'm having a Christmas party, I really enjoy it when my friends bring home a bunch of mutants who have mental issues. The in-laws. So let's, bad joke. So let's move into it. What did you guys think of this whole situation? I think that they were totally in the wrong for bringing all these random people that they know nothing about to the Morlock home base.
I think that's their whole purpose. So I think that obviously it's a lot to handle, and but there's no way to ask. Like, how are you going to communicate? I guess Blink could have gone first, but they were desperate. Where are they going to go in the streets? And the whole point of Mutant Underground is to keep people safe, and they'll do whatever means necessary. So even though it wasn't the best, they had to do it. Where else would they have gone?
And the thing is, when you make a deal or bargain with somebody in order to use them, the ante is just always going to constantly be going up. So since Erg, in exchange, has forced Clarice in order to give the information, she said it plainly to him, well, you made me do this, so now I'm going to make you do that. It's going to constantly be going back and forth.
I just think this is the whole reason why the Mutant Underground is so terrible. Because they have no infrastructure, and now they're loading up a bunch of people on their infrastructure. They don't know any of these people.
But the Morlocks isn't the Mutant Underground. And this is the thing we have to remember, is that this also is not Erg or Bishop or whoever he happens to be's house. This is a safe place. So I would never expect a homeless shelter to say, why are you bringing homeless people here? You're a homeless shelter. That is what you've established. Now, you are a safe place for mutants that do not have a safe place. These mutants need a safe place. And while it's not ideal to absorb so many people, this is what you've stated as your principal founding ideology. And so you must live on it. That's what you're saying.
Their founding ideology was, let's set up illusions in the freaking sewers so we can vet people out and then only talk to them when we know they're coming. Not, hey, let's work with the spy and have her bring 15 mutants to the underground.
That wasn't actually the situation. The situation with the illusions was to keep people out that were unwanted. True, but it was a safety situation. It wasn't, we're vetting out mutants. It's not like we're selecting mutants. In fact, the whole concept of the Morlocks, whether it's in the comics or not, is we accept all mutants, even the ones with the crappy powers that the superheroes don't want. Even the ones who have the misshapen faces that don't do anything else, but their faces melt face, and that's all they have. So they accept all. And for them to even question that is simply a question of infrastructure, of how do we house and shelter all these people. But it should not be a question of principle, and we should not feel bad for them for doing so. They live in the sewers. This is what it's meant to be. This is the Morlocks' homes. And let's be fair, it's not theirs. We pay taxes.
I get that. So what we're slowly moving into towards is the political commentary that this show has, is whether or not you lock out the many for the sake of the one that is a bad apple. So what I'll bring up now is season 1, the one person who was mind controlled in the Hound program found the underground through them being involved. So that is the thing at play here, where you don't think that they should have at least gotten to know who these people are before bringing them to the Morlocks, where several of them or one of them could have been Hounds, as they broke them out of a mental institution that was run, case in part, by people who could be with Sentinel services.
Oftentimes, history is not simple. And when I say that, I mean, in a situation of refugees, these aren't people who wanted to leave. These are people who have to leave. And when you take a social commentary, it's about refuge, correct? And if you're a place that's saying we're set up for refugees, then that's how it works. Now, if you're a place that says we don't do that, no one complains about that. No one's having a problem with the immigration policies of China. That's not how it works. So all I'm saying is, whether you agree with a sentiment or not, just remember it. When you are the ones making that promise, then don't be upset when people believe you. That's all.
And the Hounds did need the kick, remember? So after a while, they'd be able to show themselves.
True.
And like we said during the live watch, how many of these mutants were actually mentally unstable? We don't know if they were put there falsely as well.
I think that was...
I mean, the whole point is we don't know anything about any of them, and that's why I was raising the topic.
Yeah.
I mean, I see both sides to it, honestly. Like, I'm not saying one way or another. I just wanted to get the question out there because I feel like it's a really relevant conversation for right now. Let's talk about Marcus and... what do we want to call her? Ball girl? Orb girl?
Orb. I think someone in
Ball
the
girl.
chat...
Ball girl.
I like balls. I called her ball sack the whole time, and nobody seemed to be on board with that.
I was pretty upset with
Let's
with
ask
ball
the
sack.
chat. Let's see. I like ball sack.
Glow. They like glow.
Wait, but is that
Ball
real
sack
or...
glow. I'm down. Ball sack glow. Glowy ball sack.
I mean, I will say that it's amazing the people with the two most useless powers find each other, Marcos and Glow.
I just want to remind
just
everyone
kidding.
that Marcos'
It's a
powers
joke.
are
pretty bomb.
If I find out that Marcos is a level 5 mutant, I would not be surprised. I think that something happened in his past, which we will find out, in which his powers consumed him and became overbearing.
So he holds himself back.
And so he holds himself completely back. And it's because of the ability, his precision with his power means that he is trained extremely hard in order to be so precise.
I feel like he can exert light from every part of his body if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I want to see a scene of him like grabbing somebody and then just shining light into their eyes from his eyes. That'd be
He's the sun.
dope, right?
He should be so powerful, but we do need
It's not
to
just
quickly
light.
touch on the connection between him and Glow.
Yes.
I mean, the similarities between Polaris and him and then her and him, it's...
Are there though, or are you just saying that?
No, but I'm just saying they both kind of work with light. Both
She
like,
works with magnetism, not light.
but they make the Aurora lights together.
I think you're just trying to force this.
I'm trying to force the drama, but the show was
There's
too.
clearly there's clearly going to be some type of love triangle. There's clearly a connection between Ballsack and Flashlight, which is evident. And it's also at a needed time. Now, there were careful things. Marcos used lines that were in F-boy language, was trying to change it. And by F-boy language, he's like, my child's mother. It didn't use the word the love of my life or my girl or any. My child's mother, who happens to be someone who I happen to have intercourse with, who I no longer have intercourse with, so I'm open to have intercourse with you, if that comes to be. That's how he phrased it.
It was his subtlety singleness.
It was extremely,
It was.
extremely, and
I mean, I ship it. I think it's great, but he probably doesn't date people with face tattoos.
The M was serious. I know people in the chat are really upset by it. It's a hard call because they're saying the Morlocks supposed to be freedom and that wasn't freedom, but they could have left. So technically it is freedom.
So
so if they don't like something, go back to
This
their
is
country. I got that.
this is a question of duress, guys. Do you think that this is a situation of duress for the people who are there? Do you think they made this decision to get branded and stay there because of their situation of being in danger?
Yes.
Or do you think it was a choice that they would have made otherwise?
No.
No, those are two
So it's
exact
made,
viewpoint. I mean,
Yeah, it's made
they're
in
the same
duress.
thing. Yeah.
so do you think that they have a right to leave whenever they want or have the thing undone? Like, do you think anyone who didn't get it done has a right to stay there?
No, not if they didn't get it done. And he seemed very clear on that. But the problem is now is that if they wanted to leave, they can't really. I mean, or else people are, I mean, you can, but you will be questioned for the rest of your life. Like, what happened to you?
Yeah, they were free to choose their own bondage. It seems like.
Were they free to choose it, though? It was kind of a choice chosen for
They
them.
had no choice,
bond.
and that's the thing a lot of people don't realize when it comes to these situations. People don't have a lot of choice, and when you have a lack of choice, you're almost willing to do anything. And we sit there and judge people because a lot of us come from a position of privilege. No matter what race, religion, color you are, if we live in the United States, we have a lot of privilege that a lot of people in the rest of the world don't have. And when you sit in a situation where it's like, I can choose, and I know, and even though I feel like my freedoms are being infringed on, I can still speak up. A lot of places don't even have the bare minimum that we think exists, and we see that these people came there with nothing. And Ballsack even stated, she said, with all seriousness, we have nowhere to go. We have no home. This has to be our home. So we have to follow these rules. We're gonna have to assimilate in order to stay. And the problem becomes the social commentary on assimilation versus non-assimilation. And it's easy to look at in this situation because it's like, oh, well, you're just joining something that's pretty new. You have to go along. But sometimes people who come from outside can come in with a different vision and a different viewpoint and opinion, and they can make something that is possibly even better.
Like Jace and the Purifier. No, I'm just kidding. I thought it was more of a commentary on protections in prison and how safety is at the cost of joining an organization you're not necessarily wanting to be involved in. In terms of like gangs where you're forced to
happens
get
all the time.
gang tattoos, you're forced to make associations with people that you wouldn't have otherwise to survive. People who are taken
neighborhoods.
across the border are forced to carry drugs in certain cases, and to carry the drugs, they have to be initiated into a gang to be able to do it. So it's like there's tons of commentary in this as well. Do you think it's weird that so many people took the plunge? And do you think it's weird that they don't have an M? Because that was the big thing in the watch along. They don't have an M. They just have a line that they have to hit you with 4 times, which really sucks.
I feel like that was to add to the intensity for sure.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
I feel like when people are scared and they just came from a facility where they were forced in there and tortured, they might not have any hope. So I would think most of them took it. But I think it's an interesting commentary on how Erg was talking about the hypocrisy of both groups, but there is hypocrisy in their group as well.
I mean, there's hypocrisy in every group.
I think that's the point. Is
100%,
every group has it, so you kind of have to pick your poison, I guess.
And something about this episode that maybe people didn't realize because of their own personal biases, it shows that, as we were all stating on the panel, every group has their own hypocrisy. However, every group isn't completely wrong. Everyone kind of has a point. It's just they can't see the overall picture. Like, people can like, oh, I see this picture, and it's just the frame of it. Every group is right, but they're also wrong. All of them. The underground is also wrong. The purifiers are also wrong, but they're also kind of right.
Yeah, so let's actually discuss that real quick. So we have 4 groups that we're dealing with right now. We have the Mutant Underground, the Morlocks, the Purifiers, and the Inner Circle, which we'll call the Inner Circle just for ease, even though it's not technically the Inner Circle anymore. So the Inner Circle wants to create a haven for mutants by destroying humanity to some degree. The Underground wants to protect mutants and have them coexist with humanity. The Purifiers think mutants are a danger to humanity and then wants them all locked away, or they want to kill them. And then you have the Morlocks, who just kind of doesn't care what happens to anyone as long as their group is safe. So we have 4 sides to kind of the similar situation in the world right now. It's like there's no right answer.
Exactly.
Like, you can look at any group and say, like, a combination of all 4 groups would be altruistic and great, but you can't have that because people have different opinions. People always segregate themselves based on their opinions. Regardless of whether we agree on 7 out of 8 things, there's a group out there that agrees with 8 out of 8 things, and you're not going to team up with you. And on that one thing, it causes an inseparable split.
Yep.
And you see that all the time in politics, you see that all the time in race, and you see that all the time in religion.
And you see that all the time between Stephen and I. We would be really good friends, but that one thing, Coke or Pepsi, I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, we've had to leave restaurants because the waiter asks if Coke's okay. It's not. Stop flashing me, Tehran.
Where did you get that?
Tehran is wearing a robe and flashing me, if you're listening right now.
You matched Rebecca.
With the flashlight.
So let's actually do this. This is going to be really weird. Which group do you agree with most?
The Underground, but I don't know. It is hard. The more I think of it, Inner Circle has more resources, but the Underground, I'm all for.
You agree with the Underground?
Yeah.
Why do you agree with the Underground?
Because at the end of the day, their feelings are altruistic. They do want to do what's best. They do want to live in harmony. Is it the most realistic? No. But their heart's in the right place, and they're trying to be more tactical to get into a place where they're reaching a happy medium, where they're actually making progress, but at the same time is keeping their values.
So you want to go with the Underground, who has great values but can't get anything done?
Yes.
Obviously, you're liberal. Let's kidding, guys. Sorry, I had to throw that out. It was just a joke. Tehran, which group do you side with?
Reva.
So, kill all humans. Next stage of human evolution's here. Let's go with it.
Oh, is that what she says? I don't know. I love
I don't know.
Reva.
We haven't gotten like
Whatever
how dirty
Reva
she wants to be. Whatever Reva wants, Tehran's in for it.
Reva.
Heather.
I'd like to say Underground because they promote the most, coexistence. But when I look at how I go about everyday life, I'm probably more of a Morlock. And I'm like, let me just eat my cornflakes and keep my head down.
I'm Team Jace. Because I think Jace is a flawed person, but I feel like in every situation, his heart's on the side of viewing everyone as people.
I like how you did that. You teamed up with Jace instead of saying I'm a white male who loves the purifiers.
I don't like the purifiers.
Hey, smart.
But
Steven.
Jace doesn't side with the purifiers
Smart.
either. I think Jace is supposed to represent
You
kind
gave
of
us
the...
4 choices.
I
though.
did, and I thought
Took
outside the
5th.
box.
Yeah.
Because out of
So
7
did
of 8
I.
things I agree
Reva.
with, you're right.
I didn't take a side. I don't
wasn't
know. Inner
inner
circle. What?
But
circle?
if you think about it, Jace is the most like the viewer character, because we have humans that we're fans of in this show, and we have mutants that we're fans of this show. And you don't want to see the mutants shot, but you can agree that Andy and Lauren, when they're together, are really dangerous, and you can agree that that's something that you need to keep track of. Not exactly lock them away and take their powers kind of stuff, but Also, every time Jace is brought into these folds, it's by people more powerful than him. If you look at the Doctor from the first season, he didn't feel comfortable making that deal with him, but he did anyway. But it was the Doctor pushing all that really messed up stuff. Jace has always come from the position of he wants to get something done, but he just has no idea what. And we're in the same position. We don't know which group's better. We don't know which group's best. We know wrong when we see it. And that's that character. And that's why I think he'll be redeemed. And I'm just making my point even more.
Good for you. And I just want to remind all the people that we think are the best, of all the people we think are the best, it's the AfterBuzzers. Thank you so much for watching each and every week. We enjoy you very much here at AfterBuzz. We do our best to bring you the after shows for as many shows as possible, sci-fi, reality shows, and more. But we do need your help. And how you do that is simply subscribe to our channel and share. We need this to provide for everything that we provide for you. And remember, you're as much a part of this panel as we are, so we love your comments below. And if you hate pesky notifications, that's fine. So do I. Just turn them off, and you won't have to deal with them at all. Thank you so much for being a part of our family. And share and subscribe. Don't forget. And allowing us for being the ESPN of TV talk.
And just to comment on the people in the chat who are saying that the Jace is part of a hate group. He's not part of the group. He is taking control of the group. I don't agree. I don't agree that he's a purifier. Like
He is hate group adjacent.
Yeah, like I feel like he's trying to get his stuff done. I don't agree with the purifier.
I see what you're saying. So basically, he doesn't buy tiki torches, but he's at Home Depot. He's at the Home Depot. He's in the aisle, but
Wearing
he
a
hasn't
polo.
purchased.
I'm just trying to
tiki
make
torch.
it clear that yes,
understand.
the purifiers are messed up, and I don't agree with them. I'm just saying.
Well, of course, I would be
You
very
said
careful.
Jace. You didn't say the purifiers.
Yeah.
You said Jace.
We don't agree with their methods. However, let's not act like the purifiers don't have a point.
And can't throw a good
that's
tiki
what
party.
Genocide.
And that's well, hold on. We have to understand that everyone has a purpose and a point, and what sparks a lot of these opinions is fear. And that's what it is. What are the mutants afraid of? The mutants are afraid of not being able to exist. What are the humans afraid of? They're afraid of having mutants with all these powers
Who are cooler
and they
than
don't
them.
exist. It's not about being cooler than them. There are people that can literally snap their fingers and blow up buildings, and there are people who can use flashlights
Same
from
with
their
normal
hands.
humans.
No.
The army,
They're-
the military, every
And-
piece of
and people protest them all the time.
they don't try to commit genocide.
That's
There's
because
a
they
difference.
think that we need them. And if-
Genocide's never good. Everyone's on the same page.
Everyone knows that
We're
genocide
all on the
is-
same. We're all on the
is-
same page.
But that's what I'm saying, like the purpose, and we can't dismiss people's thoughts, and that's where we see a lot of rift in people, is because we're simply saying, no, you don't know what you're talking about. But if we just listen, maybe we could see where they're coming from and go, I understand where you're coming from. Let me appease some of your fears, and let me explain this, and this.
Can I just say that's
Sorry.
Can I just say that's what I really love about the show, because when you make it humans versus mutants, it becomes so clear the conflict and it's such a metaphor for our very complicated world, which seems even more convoluted when we don't have it in this metaphor.
We got to move on because we have to talk about the Clinic, Thunderbird, and Andy. But let me just end on one sentence, which is the fact that you have to realize that mutants are dangerous. You cannot ignore that. When you're looking at any of these sides, mutants are dangerous. You have this girl, Rebecca, which we're about to talk about now, who goes out for lunch and then blows a cop car up.
Well, she didn't blow the cop car up. She
Turned it inside out, and then Andy blew it up.
Andy blew it up.
But, like, these are, like, the most normal of the people. And, like, there are some weird people out there. You give them powers, like, that's dangerous. Like, there are some people who have the purifier mindset in this show that have powers. They're not purifiers. They're just racists with powers. So it's like, you got to think that, like, nobody's completely 100% wrong. Like, mutants are freaking dangerous.
Exactly.
So you got to just kind of have that in the back of your mind. Let's talk about Andy and Rebecca because we have about 6 minutes left. So Andy and Rebecca, we're introduced to Rebecca. They're who they broke out of the medical clinic. She has the power to turn stuff inside out. She's basically controls a fifth dimension in some way, or the fourth dimension in how she said it. And she turns a safe inside out, which is the test in the physical therapy or whatever the hell you want to call
what
it.
they want to do.
What do you think of this character? Do you think she's long for this show?
She's adding this spice that I haven't seen in a character before. I mean, the whole inner circle is pretty feisty, but she has this kind of Reva mentality almost. I could see where she kind of thinks things are fun. I don't know. She differs from Reva that I don't think she necessarily has a purpose driven, but she loves what she can do and she does it. And her and Andy they reminded me of Mike and Eleven from the Stranger Things.
Hey, Heather.
With the food scene.
I mean, I'm guessing that safe inside out exercise was a bit of a warm up. So I'm like, what could she possibly be semi breaking into? And yeah, I love that she's a love interest for Andy. I'm actually like, from the get go, I was like, you know what, this is great. I mean, they're gonna be awful for each other, absolutely like awful influences, but it's gonna be such a fun ride.
I perceive this to be a commentary on protest itself. So we have the old protest that is fighting for something, and then we have a new protester, this millennial protester, who just wants to fight. They just know something's wrong, and it can be anything. It's a rebel versus a rebel without a cause. And once they are given a cause, it becomes extremely, even that much more dangerous. But does she actually believe in the cause, or is she really just angsty and upset, and she doesn't exactly know why? I mean, sure, it's because she was jailed basically her whole life, but there's an anger within her, and she truly enjoys her power and using her power. She finds it, and maybe because it's been held back for so long, she finds a true pleasure in a form of dementedness that we haven't seen on the show.
And that's why she doesn't match Andy at all, and we're going to see lots of drama, which is the best part of writing, is when there's conflict. Because Andy is all for using powers, but as soon as they start hurting people, he's out. And I don't think she has that same thing holding her back. Mm-hmm. I think she's going to be all for hurting people.
She's definitely an influence on Andy. We saw Andy give in and not want to blow up the cop car and then does it anyway. And it's something very normal in young love where one person kind of takes charge and the other person wants to impress and please that person, especially at that age set, and will do anything for that. And Andy did it.
I think we're going to get a really cool scene between her and Lauren.
100%. They're going to get to a head.
That's going to be a really fun mix-up that we're going to see. I think she'll definitely go off their plans. They're going to have a plan in mind, and she's going to do something that doesn't go along with that and cause a lot of mayhem. And I don't know. I don't know what she's for. I don't know what they're thinking. She had her turning a vault inside out. But I feel like if you have people inside a room, you can't turn the room inside out without killing all those people. So Fort Knox, Pentagon, I don't know, something like that, probably. Who knows? Or something very large. There might be something larger that she has to turn inside out.
I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm sure you can get many other mutants that could somehow break into a safe or something. So, still, the mystery as to why she is. I think it would be interesting, though, if, speaking of Andy and Laura, if she ended up hurting Lauren in some way.
Yeah.
Or at least attempting to, and then Andy, hopefully he'll get a redemption scene as well.
I mean, the other option is that she can turn atoms inside out and create nuclear power or something like that.
People in the chat, Nicholas Kelly and Ivan Soto, have said that when her character was announced, they described her as being a literal sociopath that enjoys chaos and hurting people.
So she loves books. She's literal.
And Lorna, I think, is catching on to that.
So let's talk about Andy really quickly. What do you guys think do you think he's gonna go along with her for the whole time, or do you think as soon as people are hurt, he's out? On her, anyway.
Yeah, I think he's going to be strung along for a while, and then he's kind of have since knocked into him. Probably too late, but...
I mean, guys do a lot for girls, though, so how far do you think this first love will take him?
Well, that's why I think Lauren might come into the picture and get hurt. I don't know if it'll end up becoming that building dream scene.
Yeah, I don't know, because he was bullied a lot. I don't think he's ever had a girlfriend before. I don't think he's ever had any female contact except for his sister, so...
Who he had a strong relationship with. I think that we're all giving Lauren too much credit, as in Lauren is not just simply misery loves company and sees that Andy's finding someone and kind of moving on, and she lost Marcos, and the whole point was we're both in this together solo. And so she's upset about that, and there's a little bit of jealousy. She will see the sociopathic side of Rebecca, and Andy will have to hurt someone possibly, or Rebecca will make him make that choice, or be shocked by something Rebecca does. Obviously, that'll play out. But for the short game, he's Team Rebecca. They
So-
held hands. That's a big deal.
So we gotta wrap it up. But the last thing I want to talk about is Thunderbird. So like everyone gets a few sentences. What do you think is going to happen with Thunderbird? This can be our predictions. We don't need the sound drop. But what do you think is going to happen with Thunderbird? Obviously, he's weakened because of his emotional state.
Oh no, I think by the end of this season he will also redeem himself. He'll have a great coming together moment. Hopefully with his shirt off.
I think what's Andy's sister's name that I can't think of? Lauren will step up where Thunderbird feels.
I think I agree with Heather. I think that he's gonna redeem himself, but we're definitely seeing kind of his like Oedipus struggle up and down.
Oedipus?
Or not Oedipus.
So he's in love
He's
with
going to
his
sleep
mom.
with Katie.
No,
Odysseus?
Odysseus.
Odysseus. Got it. Okay. I was about to say.
Thank you. Almost got into incest, right?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Again.
It is.
Yeah. Both characters. Yeah. Let's avoid that. I think he's going to realize that the failure is not on him, and he's going to finally like move on to being like, what can you actually do now?
Sure, but will the team accept it? Will it be too late?
Find out next time.
week.
Guys, thank you for watching the after show. Please hit that thumbs up button right now and share with your friends. You can share it on YouTube. Leave a comment after this stream is over if you want the comments to be saved. Thank you so much for watching. We might do another watch along next week if everyone's down for it. If you guys are interested, it was fun today. Check it out. We watched episode 5 and did commentary throughout, so you can check out that video right now. Where can we find all of you if we want to talk to you in the meanwhile about The Gifted and other shows that might not be The Gifted but probably are The Gifted?
Hey guys, on Instagram you can find me at heather.wake. On Twitter you can find me at heather_wake. And on Sunday nights you can catch both Tehran and myself talking about Supergirl.
I am Tehran, literally at I am Tehran, IAMTEHRAN, all across the social atmosphere. Find us on a bunch of AfterBuzz shows, Supergirl amongst many others, and at the Laugh Factory every Monday and Thursday at 10 p.m. But most important, find me on Instagram at I am Tehran.
I'm Steph Sabraw. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabraw. Sundays, SNL, Monday, Kidding, Wednesday, South Park, and there's a few others.
Stop doing so much. You guys can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, STPHEN, Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 6 of The Gifted. I'm telling you, Jace is getting his redemption. We'll see you next week!
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.